things a lot of authors like to do to their protagonists is to purposely make their powers unknown to them, meaning they don't really know the full extent of their powers until later down the line. After awakening it, they will become what I like to call an unstoppable force. So today's video will be covering 10 anime where the protagonist awakens his hidden power. If you are new around here, then please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with the bell icon turned on to stay up to date with the latest anime news and recommendations right at your doorstep. Now, without keeping y'all waiting, let us begin with the video.
御身の名は炎を食らう蛇、聖者の御霊より生まれし不滅の刃なり。はあ
Kicking things off with Strike the Blood, a series that features a very powerful legendary vampire who poses as a regular-looking human being. He struggles every day, like whether it's his, is selfish or not being able to keep a living normal life, then he gets wrapped up in dangerous things. I felt like this character grew with Yukina a lot. While a lot of people may hate her, but the reasons to her behavior is quite reasonable in my opinion, considering, she doesn't know how to socialize or know how to act like a normal human being. She was able to understand more being around Kojo, and this anime has a really good, visual, mediocre story, but also great characters overall, which you can definitely feel quite attached to, especially when seeing Akatsuki Kojo in action with his vampire powers and his girl Yukina by his side.
地べたを這いずる下等動物ども、血ヘドにまみれて後悔するがいい。
I really couldn't help but make Guilty Crown a guilty pleasure of mine. Now, I'll have to admit, the story takes a while to get warmed up to. Now, the first episode was incredibly cliche with the generic boy meets girl and becomes Superman, and he's involved with the bad guys. Now, the story going on up until the end gets diverged a lot.
作戦を開始する。 了解。
Now, the protagonist refused to acknowledge his power and left me wondering what could possibly happen next. Now, what I'm trying to say, it gets quite inconsistent throughout its episodes, but what makes the show rather great, you may ask? To put it simply, it is beautiful. The art is magnificent, and the sound is wonderful. Everything is so fluid, and Inuri, the female protagonist, is just so stunning. Couple that amazing art with a cliche story that becomes progressively darker, and I simply cannot help but enjoy it so much, and I think you guys should definitely give it a try. To expect an elaborate storyline, an unexpected plot twist, and incredible character development from an ecchi harem show would be one of the greatest you mistakes can ever make. I came into Campione with no expectations at all back when I watched it. I merely came to watch an ecchi harem, and you know what I got? An awesome show that understands how to make a story despite having fan service and harem. Now, the story may not be refreshing, but hey, it's still a story and coherent one at that. You're not going to gasp at anything or cry. Nope, you're just going to go in and enjoy the action and smile at the romance. Campione actually does have one unique aspect to it. That way, the protagonist defeats the gods is, through the inability known as warrior. In a nutshell, it has sufficient knowledge to the enemy, their defense begins to crumble, and eventually they become mortal, thus making it super easy to kill them. Maria! Visual novel adaptations. In my personal experience, they tend to range from very good to very bad, and 11 Eyes has done the impossible to achieve both of these at once. It's not a unique storyline. Boy and friends get pulled into a parallel universe where they fight various monsters for an unknown objective, and it's been done before. We've all seen it.
まずは冷静になれ。すべてはそこからだ。気持ちがせいた者には勝機は訪れない。
This show did catch, however, me by surprise at some times. At those times, I said, hey, it's great, until the last episode when everything was just so rushed, glossed over, and never properly concluded. It didn't really ruin the experience. I mean, I still found it quite the enjoyable watch. It's good, but very stale, and that's the only thing I can really say for 11 Eyes. Just once in a while, I tend to enjoy a vampire-themed show that is packed with action, heroes, and drama. Unfortunately, I can't remember really any series of similar nature that intrigued me the most these past few years. Many of them run with the recycled concepts that include Beauty and the Beast romance tales, or some of the same survival themes over and over again. Then came a show called Sirius The Jaeger, an anime original that is created by PA Works in 2018, and this studio is actually mostly known for their slice-of-life shows and coming-of-age stories, but taking on an action vampire series such as this is quite surprising and actually very impressive because it's really well done. A story of the last survivor of the Sirius clan seeking revenge on the vampire clan who murdered the clan and to save his brother who was taken away from him and was forced to become a vampire. Very cool and entertaining action-packed storyline that I definitely can recommend to you all. Dragon Crisis. Now, this title is a little strange considering the fact that the phrase itself is only really used once in the series, and it's never really explained when mentioned. For me to find an anime relating to human-like people usually means that I'll watch it, to be honest, to some extent.
Love English.
Story, well, isn't exactly Dragon Crisis' strong suit, and in the end was still somewhat generic, very generic, with the human-related twist on some of the girls leading up to a really cheesy ending that you may like if you're into that kind of thing. With a combination of somewhat a generic storyline, characters, and above-average music and art all combined, Dragon Crisis was a mix of fun and confusion at the same time, but still a very enjoyable anime overall.
幼馴染への挨拶ですか?
Now right here we have a courageous, fearless, and sympathetic protagonist, and a beautiful, cute, fun, and kind of naughty supporting character. A great combination, to be honest. It starts off something along with the lines of this. Now, the summoner goes from meeting his spirit, pet, and girl in the block to getting hunted together to battling in a trial, but there is so much more to the description of this story that I'd be oversimplifying the fun stuff, and that is how it went with every episode watching this Chinese anime, which is different yet quite interesting. The one major flaw is of course the animation. It's not great, but not too bad either, really. It's a low-budget anime compared to a higher quality series such as The King's Avatar or The Daily Life of the Immortal King, since it comes from an underrated studio that is not really well known. Still though, it might be worth a shot. The anime adaptation for Tower of God was met with a lot of hype, both from the fans of the webtoon as well as the good portion of the anime community in general. It was the first real adaptation of a Korean manhwa, and its success could really likely open the floodgates to a world of new content that's ready to be adapted from manhwa.
私を脅してる? もう一度しか言わない. さっさと失せな. じゃないと殺すよ.
So, The question is, did the adaptation of Tower of God live up to the hype? I would honestly say it didn't really, to be honest. In fact, it falls way short. It's nowhere near how good it could have been, you know, from all the readers of the manhwa out there saying how insane it was. However, aside from those, the story was incredibly interesting. Good-looking visuals and aesthetics, and especially the side characters that I got invested into so much. But I really can't say the same thing for the protagonist Bam, as he didn't really show much in the first season, to be honest. I, however, am quite looking forward to the second season, as that is, you know, a lot of people have been saying, this is where the real deal begins.
You know nothing about my powers!
Huh?
Don't you know what happens when the power of the main character starts out useless?
You, the main character.
It inevitably becomes the strongest of all. Just the way it goes. Don't you know that?
Now, I came into this anime expecting superpower battles, but instead, having experienced one of the best anime dealing with friendship, this anime right here does it right off the bat. It just tells a story of a group of normal high schoolers gaining superpowers for some inexplicable reason. Now, they are held with a burden of functioning as normal students with these destructive weapons at their disposal. Not surprisingly, this presents quite a lot of problems for them. I think that this is the purpose of these superpowers that it serves. At the end of the day, we didn't really get many battles, rather we received a story of series of struggles that these high schoolers faced while just having these powers in their disposal.
I got you. Please, trust me.
With Ino Battle, don't look forward to supernatural battles. Instead, look forward to deep themes of hard work, responsibility, self-honesty, and friendship, because it honestly delivers that super duper well. Now finally, to close things off with this list I'm recommending to you all is Black Clover. At the start, being one of the most underdog shonen series to now, becoming one of the greatest, most talked about shonen of all time in the anime community. A story of how a weakling boy named Asta, born without any magic capabilities, wishes to become the Wizard King, who is known as the strongest magic knight in the entire world. So Asta without magic, can he reach these heights? Well, after receiving a mysterious black grimoire, he got magic for the first time in his whole life. The ability to actually use anti-magic and negate spells. But that is only the beginning and a small percentage of the power he's using, as there is so much more to uncover. How everyone will, you know, treat him as a weakling and underestimate him, from nobles to villains. This is one of the best shonen stories I have ever experienced. Looks like you just made it to the end of the video and witnessed 10 anime where the protagonist awakens his hidden power. So if I've managed to leave any anime out in particular that you thought would be a great share on the list, then please let me know in the comment section down below, as I'd love to hear your very own opinion, or just comment down below what you thought about the video in general, as I always appreciate the feedback. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.